In this episode of OG55, we have a theme park roundup. We have a bunch of little-ish stories that we're going to report on today. A bunch of them. We have some Walt Disney World stuff. We got some Disneyland stuff. We even have some downtown Disney stuff we're going to discuss today in this theme park roundup. I got the Italiano with me up next on OG55. Welcome aboard, everybody, to another episode of OG55. This is a theme park news roundup show. A lot of little stories that we're going to be reporting on today on a bigger show. George, the Italiano, it is always good to have you. Now, I'm not going to say to have you back on because you never left, bro. You never left.
I'm still sitting in this seat since yesterday's live.
I'm telling you, man. Same here, dude. Like I said, I got the catheter in. I'm good to go, bro. I got, Don't need to leave. But George, if you let everybody at home know where they could find you on social media, sir.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info.
Absolutely. Let's start with our first story of the day. And actually, I do want to give me just a second. I'm actually going to read this to y'all. This story is actually PORTO'S for coming to downtown Disney. There's been a lot of rumors in the fan community. PORTO'S is dead. PORTO'S is not coming to the downtown Disney district. I received a text from friend of the channel, Kev. Okay, Mr. Tech Bear. So I want to give him credit for this. He texted me this. He says, now this is courtesy. He was citing KABC. For those of you that are not in California, KABC is a Disney-owned network here, okay? Channel 7. It says here, KABC 7 was just talking about the death of the founder of PORTO'S just now. And at the end of the broadcast, they said there are 6 locations and a 7th will open in 18 months at downtown Disney. Okay. Now he goes on to say, I assume that the Disney-owned station would have the latest news on this development. Now, this is from ABC. This is the article. Raul Porto Sr., founder of beloved Porto's Bakery and Cafe, dies at 92. Now, before we get started and dive into this, I do want to extend my condolences to the Porto family. This is terrible news, and our hearts and thoughts and prayers go out to the entire PORTO'S family. 92 years old. So basically what Kev texted me, well, it tracks. Says here, let's see here. Give me just a moment, everybody. I do apologize. It says right here, the bakery currently has locations in Glendale, Burbank, Downey, Buena Park, West Covina, and Northridge. A 7th location will soon open in downtown Disney at Disneyland. So despite all the fan rumblings, rumors, assumptions, whatever you want to call it, it looks like PORTO'S is still coming to downtown Disney. What are your thoughts, Mr. Italiano?
Well, first I have to say, up until this conversation came about in the Disney community, I'm an East Coast guy. I didn't even know what PORTO'S was. I thought maybe it was one of those plumbing stores where you go to buy a new toilet. That's what it sounded like to me. I didn't know, like a porta potty.
Yeah, it's funny. I always it's always interesting with the different stuff that you have and what we have out here. What do you have out there? Like a supermarket called the Grand Eagle or something?
Giant Eagle.
There you go, Giant Eagle. We don't have that out here. We got Ralph's, Vaughn's, but you don't have a lot of that stuff out there.
No, we don't have any of that stuff.
So it's wild. But go on, sir. I do apologize.
No, not a problem. So up until when you, Kev, and some other people were kind of schooling me, so to speak, of what PORTO'S is. It's very big. It's very popular. And I thought, okay, that sounds cool. And then, a lot of talk in the fan community saying, okay, PORTO'S isn't coming. There's no word on it. Earl of Sandwich is still, you know, where it's at. So where is it going to, you know, where's the location going to be? And I've said this time and time again, and I guess it bears repeating. Disney doesn't necessarily have to say everything they're doing every step of the way. When they want you to know something, they will let you know. Just because there's no rumbles in the jungle coming out of the company, that doesn't mean that they're not doing something.
Right. They don't need to be out there every other week with a press release. PORTO'S is still coming. Just a reminder. PORTO'S is still coming. Just a reminder. Like, you know what I'm saying? And Kev is right when he texted me that, saying he would assume that the Disney owned station, KABC, would know the latest. And I would agree with him on that. Obviously, you know what I'm saying?
And of course, this is news that's like not going to be like over the top breaking news in the like us as the diehard Disney fans and the Disney nerds and everything. It's like, okay, yeah, we want to see PORTO'S come to downtown Disney, but it's not something like you're going to see on major like Disney news sites and articles breaking, you know, it's official, PORTO'S is coming to downtown Disney. You know, it's not like it's a brand new attraction or a brand new land or even a brand new theme park. You know, it's not saying that it's not significant enough, but it's just not in that typical Disney fashion. But I also wanted to dive upon this because this is very interesting, because now that it is confirmed that PORTO'S is still coming, would you say in 7 months? It
says 18 months, actually.
Oh,
it says, yeah, it says here.
It'll be ready in 18 months.
Let's see. Actually, no. Kev texted me. Let me see what he said. He said, "And a 7th location will open in 18 months. So it'll be open.
So open in 18 months. Okay, so that's actually not too bad. So this PORTO'S is going to open in 18 months, which adds a new addition yet again to a revamped downtown Disney. I'm telling you, folks, all this is leaning into the fact downtown Disney is not going anywhere. And if downtown Disney is not going anywhere, they're keeping their shopping, dining complex on property. And I know this is kind of like on topic, but off topic, because we've been talking about it a lot in our lives, on our Disneyland Forward videos, on our reaction videos with Bricky. That, by the way, shout out to Bricky, that the Toy Story parking lot is starting to seem like becoming the third gate more and more.
Right. Because
Disney is not going to put time, effort, and money into downtown Disney if they're going to demolish it and move everything over to the Toy Story parking lot.
Well, yeah, and even, okay, let's just say, devil's advocate, let's just say they're not going to demolish downtown Disney. Well, there's even less of a case to be made, because you don't need that much like you already have downtown Disney, which is a decent area for shopping and dining and retail and what have you. Now you want to dedicate, now I'm not saying they're going to dedicate the entire 75 acres over at the Toy Story lot for retail and dining and a Disney Springs complex, but I think it was Dave from Fresh Baked. He said maybe 50 acres. Okay, even 50 acres. You already have downtown Disney. Now you're gonna have 50 more acres of retail, dining, and shopping and all that stuff. Look at Bricky said it in his video, and I completely agree. And I've been saying it too for a long time. Brick and mortar retail is not dead, but it's definitely bleeding out. Okay, a lot of malls around the country are closing. Disney shut down their Disney stores for a reason. Okay, it's because these brick and mortar stores are just not doing what they used to do. And to spend 50 acres, dedicated 50 acres on retail shops and all that stuff, it's a waste of space. They already have a dedicated area for this, plenty of room. I'm telling you.
32 acres is what Dave said.
Oh, 32 acres for 32. The Disney Springs? Okay.
Disney Springs, yeah.
For Disney Springs West, all right? Yeah, so again, that's still too much. You already have downtown Disney. You don't need it, you know? And PORTO'S coming is kind of confirmation. PORTO'S will be massive, by the way. I don't know, George, you're not really too familiar with PORTO'S, but PORTO'S out here is super popular. They sell like a lot of like bakery goods, like little croissants and things like that, which is perfect for theme parks, because you can go in there, you can pick up a box of like little croissants, some pastries to snack on while you're at the parks. I think it's going to do super good, super well over here in Anaheim. It'll be on par, probably even more so than Earl of Sandwich. Earl of Sandwich was very successful in my opinion, at that location because you can grab a few sandwiches, put them in your backpack, and you have snacks for the day. Porto's is a similar dynamic. You can throw some croissants, some little pastries, whatever, in your bag, along with your Earl's a sandwich, right? And you're good to go.
See, those are the kind of businesses that strive in that kind of environment, in that location. I feel like with a lot of, as you had mentioned, a lot of with these like retail kind of pop-up shops, so to speak, it's like they don't bring in the business. Yeah, you're right. You go to Earl's Sandwich, you pick up some sandwiches. You go to Porto's, you pick up some pastries. But is someone really going to spend, especially vacationers, because Disney is leaning more towards Disneyland on becoming a multi-day vacation resort complex, sort of like in the same style of Walt Disney World? Are they going to entice people to come for visits, especially vacationers, out-of-towners, spend an arm and a leg, and encourage them, oh yeah, we got all these stores in downtown Disney's, go buy a $250 pair of sunglasses? It's like people aren't going to do it. But people will go into places like this, as you said, grab some snacks, grab some pastries, food on the go, so to speak, throw them in your backpack, whatever, go into the park, there you go. Those are the businesses that would strive more in a Disney environment like this.
Yeah, they opened a Porto's recently pretty close to me. And from day one, dude, I have a few close to me because Burbank isn't that far from me either. Neither is Glendale, actually. But these always do well. Like you pull up and they have to like take a number basically. Like they'll bring it to your car if you order in advance, but you order in advance, you pull up, you take a number, and then they deliver it to you. It's a crazy system for freaking pastries. Okay. Yeah, if you saw the line for these things,
well, I was just going to say, I have an idea. What you're describing, Porto's for you, is what the Oakmont Bakery is out here. It's like worse than the track. Like you can't, it's a gigantic bakery. You could buy pastries, croissants, fresh baked bread, but it's a huge building, but you go in it, you can barely walk. And
what's the track, by the way? Is that another PA thing?
Worse than the track. Like when you go to the track and all people are there like huddled.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, I do apologize.
Yeah.
I thought that was like one of your grocery stores or something, Okay, I got you. Okay.
But yeah, and you have to take a number. And it's so busy that they have to have 20 to 25 employees on the floor at all times.
Yeah, that's Porto's. Exactly. That's Porto's. This seems to be crazy. Now, the only downside for Porto's at downtown Disney is that element of it, I think, because it's going to bring an insane amount of business. It's going to be crowded, you guys. It's going to really ramp.
Is it going to be closer? Is it confirmed that it's going to be closer to the Esplanade, or is it going to be further down?
To see that, I don't know. That we haven't really heard. Last I heard, it was gonna replace the La Brea Bakery. The thing is, with a business like Porto's and how successful it will likely be, there's gonna have to be some infrastructure kind of finagling, as George says, right? Because you can't just throw that in there because the lines. It's like building an In-N-Out, dude. The line, the drive-through is like around the block. It's like one of those kind of things. So that might be why it's taking longer, so fans need to be patient, and they might be figuring out how to place it in downtown Disney where they can accommodate the massive amount of crowds, the lines and all that they, they're going to have basically like a queue to get into this place. I mean, the one by me has a fucking queue. Okay. Let alone downtown Disney. So it's going to be
putting it in a Disney resort. Yeah. That's going to be crazy.
It's going to be nuts, dude. It's going to be absolutely nuts. But we have basically confirmation that it's still happening. And not only did they say it's going to start construction, but ABC, owned by the Walt Disney Company, parent company, is saying open in 18 months. So the construction will likely start pretty soon based on that timeline.
And they're not kind of giving any kind of subtle like hints of saying, oh, there's a 7th location opening up somewhere, it's going to be somewhere. No, they're actually saying it's downtown Disney.
Yeah, exactly. So Porto's is coming. Hang on to your buttholes. Here we go. The next story is from our friends over at Daps Magic, and we love Mr. Daps. Daps is awesome. He does a great show called Geeks Corner. Really, really good guy. So here, $5 million upgrades coming to Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. So Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln is a stage show featuring an audio animatronic, Abraham Lincoln, best known for being presented at Disneyland since 1965. The show was originally showcased as the prime feature of the State of Illinois Pavilion at the 1964 New York World's Fair. 1 year after its debut at the World's Fair, the show opened at Disneyland, where it has undergone several changes and periods of hiatus over the years. So now it says here the attraction is undergoing a $5 million upgrade. Now, here's the thing. First of all, this is great because this is one of those things where Disney doesn't really necessarily have to do this. This is one of those attractions that I'm sure does not get a massive amount of traffic on a daily basis. Okay. Disney easily could have replaced this with some IP thing. Look, we give Disney a lot of shit, but this is one thing that, hey, look, they're respecting the history here by keeping it around and constantly upping it, plussing it, as Walt would say, right?
Right.
Speaking of Walt, though, there are rumors, and this could be false. I don't know. These are rumors that they will be adding Mr. Walt Disney to this show. In what capacity? I have no idea. Is it going to be AI Walt from the Disney 100 thing? I don't know. Is it going to be an animatronic Walt? I don't know. But supposedly, and this is rumor, he will be part of the show. Now, I'm assuming he will introduce Mr. Lincoln. Maybe they'll have Walt talk about how he looks up to Lincoln, and Lincoln was always a role model or an idol to him. Walt Disney has talked a lot about Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah, I was just going to say they have a lot of video and audio footage of Walt himself talking about Lincoln and how for him he was the greatest president that ever lived. Of course, back in that time, it was kind of slim pickings on choosing who was your favorite president, but and how he idolized him and admired him, and so they have a lot of archive footage that they can use. I think it would be quite interesting. I think it would definitely pay a nice tribute to both Walt and Lincoln because they kind of have that connection when we used to watch like the Wonderful World of Color and your host Walt Disney with the introduction, everything. So what a great way to kind of introduce the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, than actually having Walt himself start up the show, and especially with the budget that they're saying, it's what is it, $1 million or is it $5 million?
$5 million.
$5 million. Excuse me, $5 million. I mean, it's not like super a lot, like building a land or an attraction, but that's a pretty significant amount for an upgrade.
For this, yeah. For this, it's a small little theater, and $5 million. It's a decent chunk of change. Now, my only worry, I'm not necessarily opposed to the idea of Walt coming to Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln. My issue with it is how it's handled. It all comes down for me execution. You got to nail the landing. You got to stick the landing on this one. We've never really had a Walt animatronic, so man, it's tough, dude. You don't want to get in there and have like the uncanny valley sort of situation. Now, look, Disney animatronics have come a long way. We're seeing it with Tiana's. A lot of those animatronics really look great. We see a lot of those in like Tokyo with the Beauty and the Beast dark ride. But with Walt, it's a different kind of situation. You have to nail this thing like you wouldn't believe. Okay. Can they do it? I don't know. I hope they can. I think they can. I
think I'm a little bit more on the optimistic side that they will, because it is Walt Disney. They know that they would get a lot of criticism.
Right. And it's in Disneyland, which the Imagineers do tend to favor over the other parks.
Yeah. And I think honestly it would be an honor to kind of go full circle on a man who basically pioneered audio animatronics, and especially human life audio animatronics. So, and I know Walt was always one that he didn't like to be, put on this pedestal or what have you, but I think that he would be humbled and honored to the fact that something that he was deeply passionate about, to know that he is now part of the history that he actually created.
Yeah,
with an audio animatronic.
With the oh yeah, audio animatronic. Yeah, yeah, it's interesting. I'm not opposed to the idea, and I think it could be a beautiful addition to this
But you're right; it
attraction.
has to be done well. This is something that you can't do half-ass.
You got to do it well. You got to do it well, you know, and it could work out very well. Like, you know, for example, leading up to the partner statue, I would have had the same concerns, right? When
Right.
Michael Eisner spearheaded that whole thing with the partner statue. Oh, they're going to make a statue of Walt and Mickey in Disneyland. Okay, well, great. That could turn out awesome, but it's the execution. And it turned out fantastic. It did. So let's see. We'll have an open mind. Let's see how it is. But, and again, this is just a rumor. Disney has not confirmed any of this. I don't believe. If we're wrong, comment down below. But I do believe at this point, it's still just a rumor. All right, to our next topic. To the Spires. Here we go. We got Just Ask Danny, who we love Danny. We love Danny. Make sure you subscribe to his channel on YouTube, Just Ask Danny. He's also on Speculation Sunday with 5 Fires with Mondo. They do great work. Danny has been on our channel a few times now. He's a friend here. We absolutely love this guy. But he made a tweet the other day. BARD made his official debut tonight at Disneyland Star Wars Galaxy's Edge. BARD gives a point of source to his owner's voice, Tohan Lige. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. Tohan Lige, who narrates. Oh, thank you. Who narrates the Fire of the Rising Moon's fireworks show. Love to see little story telling details like this. I'm not going to play the audio just because, you know, it's copyright and stuff, but it's a cool little droid, and it's like kind of like the stage right in front of where you view the fireworks. And it moves, like you see, it smokes. It's a cool little addition. I will have to say, though, God, I hate to sound like that. I hate to sound like a nitpicky fan. My issue with it is I think this would have been a perfect opportunity to install like lasers or something in his like little eyes or whatever. And during the show, it would fan out like a series of lasers, and he would be a light show in and of himself. I think that would have been cool. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not dismissing this. I think we need stuff like this. I've been talking a lot over the years that Galaxy's Edge needs more kinetic energy. This is definitely a huge step in the right direction. It helps the land. It helps the nighttime show. It's fantastic. If I'm going to be a nitpicky butthole, I would just say I would have liked to seen some kind of laser effect or lighting effect come out of his eyes. But again, it's nitpicky, I know. But overall, though, this is awesome. What do you think, George?
Yeah, I think it's a great addition. A little subtle touch that can bring like extra life into the nighttime show over at Galaxy's Edge. Because I do have to say, I had this conversation with Theme Park Casual when we went to actually go see this show during one of his lives, and we were mentioning, and so have the people in the chat, of saying like they need something like extra, like surrounding the land while the fireworks are going off, especially because there are certain moments of the show where, and again, not to Disney's fault, because the fireworks are more connected to what's going on down on Main Street and above the castle. So basically, Galaxy's Edge has to deal with the choreographed fireworks and there are moments where nothing's going on. It's almost like it's dead air, and you just have music playing. So maybe by adding elements like this, they can kind of fill in those small gaps. So I would like to actually see more being added to this, to be honest with you, not just this droid. I would love to see more thematic elements, possibly maybe even having, and I know this is going to be a little bit far-fetched, but I would love to see maybe like some performers come out and maybe do like a small little mini battle that's synchronized to the music while the fireworks are going on above them. I think that would be really cool.
That'd be dope, dude. Yeah, that would be dope. Yeah, and look, you got to call Disney out when they mess up, when they fall short, and we have, especially with Galaxy's Edge.
Yes,
right. We've complained for years about the lack of kinetic energy. They are working on it. Let's give them some credit. We got the little BD droids that walk around the land, the cutest little things. Oh my God, those little things are awesome, and they're out there a lot now. We see them quite often, you know. So we got the little BD droids. Now we got BARD out there for the nighttime show. Things are happening. They're doing stuff, you know. Even kind of semi-recently, they brought in Mando with little baby Grogu,
Ahsoka.
Fennec, right, from Boba Fett. So they are making moves now. As a fan, obviously, we wish they would make more moves, and I think they will. But at least they are trying, and we have to give credit where credit is due. But any final thoughts on this before we move on to some country bears?
As I said,
Yeehaw, yeehaw.
No, I think we pretty much said it all. Let's move on to those cuddly, furry little creatures.
Little bears, little country bears. Okay, here we go. This is Drew, the Disney dude. Who I'm telling you right now, if you want any update on Tiana's Bayou Adventure, Drew is your guy. Absolutely your guy. And this is what I love too, George, about like the stuff we do here on the channel is it gives us an opportunity to kind of showcase these other amazing creators that do a lot of great work in this space, like Danny, and we have Drew here. So a lot of great people in our community. So Drew is definitely one of them. Make sure you follow him. He's also got a YouTube channel. Check it out. But Drew here says, new Walt Disney Imagineering shared a behind-the-scenes look at the Country Bear Musical Jamboree opening this summer at the Magic Kingdom. So some new bears. What do you think, George?
So for me, I was actually very pleased of how the outcome of how the direction they're going, because I love how they still kept the original nostalgia quality to the bears themselves. They still look like the bears that we know and love from the original Country Bear Jamboree show, but they are updated in a way where the fluidity of the movement is much better, and they kind of have a fresh, new, polished look to them, but they didn't go overboard where it's like you can't recognize or identify the bears.
So the movement on these, because I've never seen the Country Bears over there in Florida. These new ones, they're smoother than the previous iterations.
Much smoother. They move to up to speed of how like a lifelike kind of character would move. Right. The original bears, again, I do love the original show, but I mean, of course, they were much older AA, so they moved very slowly. You know, you can tell that they were outdated. So this is a breath of fresh air. I will say though that with the triplets, they did do some tweaking to them. They don't have them in their like the bonnets and like the dresses. Now they kind of put them like in these little like cutesy cowgirl kind of outfits, which I think are very cute. You know, I think it's a nice little update.
So these are different outfits than what they had before?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, interesting. I mean, look, you know, Country Bears, there's been a lot of talk around Country Bears. We've talked a lot about it here on the show. You know, they added Big Al, the Big Al statue over there at DCA, which we thought might be indicative of a bigger Country Bear push at that park, which I still believe that. And look, we've said it before, you know, when Disney builds something, they like to build two because it's cheaper, buy in bulk, right? So if they're building all these new bears for the Country Bears over at Magic Kingdom, we're getting kind of Country Bear, you know, breadcrumbs, you know, at DCA. It's not a stretch to think that maybe we'll get some animatronics headed our way to DCA. We'll see, you know. But overall, I'm really excited to see what they do with the Country Bears. I'm actually really surprised that they're even going down this route with them. I mean, they could have easily you know, shut that show down and just gave us like some other IP thing, you know?
Yeah, I thought when they made that announcement that there was a possibility they were going to do like a Woody's Roundup kind of show based off of like a Toy Story 2, where it was going to be like a marionette kind of show, and like people were not having it, you know. So the bears were sticking around, but that also gave, you know, that there was slight indication that the bears were, you know, going to hibernate for good.
Well said.
Thank you. But I do think that this is a breath of fresh air that even though they're incorporating Disney IP music and songs, but they're keeping the original characters, and
it's a good compromise, I think.
It is. Yeah, and honestly, and based off of what we're seeing with the triplets, I'm curious to see how Henry's going to look, Big Al, Wendell, Shaker. Like, I'm curious because those are the characters that us Disney fans know. So I would love to see how they look in their new AA, up to date AA form.
Yeah. Are your allergies killing you, George?
My allergies are off the freaking wall.
Oh my gosh, Joe, that's crazy. Yeah, I have allergies too. Lately they've been okay, but I get them every now and then too, and they bug the crap out of me, man. Yeah. I hate having allergies, you know.
And of course, because everything like out here is things like we've been having rain, so now everything is starting to grow and bloom, and we got like pollen has been really bad out here. Like the pollen is just flying everywhere.
Oh my gosh. Well, hang in there, George. And that concludes this episode of OG 55. We did like a little, theme park roundup. Like I said, these weren't massive earth-shattering stories, but they were significant enough to at least report on them. I think the PORTO'S story is probably one of the bigger ones because I think PORTO'S, given the popularity, is going to change the dynamic at Downtown Disney quite a bit.
Absolutely.
It's going to be one of those things that's really going to change that whole little district or whatever they call it. But yeah, so we'll see, brother. We'll see. But interesting stuff. A lot of things here we're gonna keep our eye on. But before we go, if you could let everybody at home know, George, where they could find you on social media.
Absolutely. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Disney George. You could also find me on Instagram under the Disney Italiano. And of course, you can find me here on my home base at Orange Grove 55 with Citrus Corner with all that sweet, juicy, but sometimes sticky Disney news and info. And I know, folks, there's not too many Citrus Corner shows coming out right now just because there's not really too much to report on, because Citrus Corner is more so based off of anything of Walt Disney World and the Disney Cruise Line. I know that the Country Bear Jamboree is Walt Disney World, but it wasn't a big enough segment to cover for a full show. But I guarantee you're going to be seeing a lot more Citrus Corner shows, I believe, like from the month of August and beyond, especially after D23.
Yeah, no, absolutely. 100%. Yeah. We make shows based on like if we have content to talk about, right? And that was one of the big things on this channel when I started it, even when I was doing solo videos, I told myself, if there's nothing to report on, I'm not going to make a video. If I have nothing to say, I'm not going to make a video. I'm not just going to make a video because it's Wednesday, or whatever, I'm if I have something to say, I'll make a video. If I don't, then there's no videos for a week or two, and that's kind of how it is with Citrus Corner, where it's like, if there's no news, we're not just going to make a Citrus Corner just to make a Citrus Corner,
Exactly.
So, but once there is news, George will be a very busy bee.
Yes.
And there will be, but we might be going into a lull right here, not just with Walt Disney World, but even with Disney parks in general, because Disney probably will hold back on a lot of announcements now that we're getting closer to D23.
Yeah, they announced everything that they wanted to get it out. Now they're just kind of letting it stew. It's boiling, they're letting all the flavors and the juices flow, and now it's that stew will be ready in August.
Yeah, let's hope it tastes good, Daddy Josh.
Yes.
Let's hope. All right. And a friendly reminder, on Friday, this upcoming week, we have another live show with our good friend Alia, talking all about her experiences with Adventures by Disney. She's done it twice now. So she'll be taking your questions, comments. Great live show. It'll be a lot of fun. But George, thank you for joining. And everybody home, thank you for watching. Comment down below with all your thoughts on everything we talked about today. PORTO'S, the Galaxy's Edge, the little droid, BARD, the Country Bear, yeehaw. Anything you want to talk about, comment down below. Thank you all so much for watching. OG 55.
Like Ice T, I'm OG. Like Ice T, I'm OG. Ice T, I'm OG. I'm demon like IT. Got more juice than High C.